What's up YouTube, it's Andrea and I'm back again with another video. Let me just go ahead and apologize now, guys. I know I low-key went MIA for like the past week or so. Honestly, guys, I think I got so caught up in like the Christmas break and just enjoying the time with my family and friends that I honestly haven't even been on social media that much. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, like I really haven't just been doing anything. I apologize for that. I'm back with videos. This video, actually, I held off for the longest. So many people ask me, this question often, and a lot of times I didn't want to steer you guys in the wrong direction. And the reason why I actually held this video off for so long is because I wanted to make sure the way that I was studying was legit. Of course, I didn't want to get on camera and tell you guys, oh, well, this is how I study. I do this, I do this, I do that. And it's not effective for me, right? That wouldn't make sense. So, I mean, everything that I'm telling you guys today, hopefully, you can take something from it. It's beneficial to you. It's helpful for you. Everything that I've done, I've practically done since my first semester of nursing school. For those of you who don't know, I am going into my last semester of nursing school. So I would say that it's been pretty helpful. For the most part, I kind of learned these things as I went on throughout nursing school. And I think last semester, I really went hardcore when it came to studying. And literally everything that I did here, I did like to the T. Like I had to make sure all these things were done. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight into the video. All right, so one thing, let me just go ahead and throw this little disclaimer in here real quick, guys. If I'm looking off to the side, often, it's because my notes are over here actually written on my laptop. I wanted to make sure, again, that I told you guys literally everything that I do in nursing school to help me be successful. I do also want to say, for those of you who don't know, just so you guys can know how effective this studying method has been for me. Last semester, I did make all A's and B's in nursing school, and yeah, I followed every single one of these steps and I'm about to talk about, so let's go. All right, so first things first, the first thing I want to talk about, you hear nursing students talk about this all the time, which I'm sure you guys already have heard me say this, is making that study schedule. And making that study schedule and following that study schedule. Now, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I personally, when the semester first starts, I like to try to make schedules and stuff like that as far as like being in my planner, but I don't necessarily have to write it down. I just know within my brain, I know that I have to schedule studying time every day. That's another thing. I know personally people who feel like they don't have to study every day. Not your girl. Your girl has to study every day. It's just what I found has been beneficial to me. And I'll be real with y'all, honestly, like there are days like when I first started nursing school, or even sometimes now, like when it's during the semester, maybe it's a Saturday or Sunday, and maybe I don't have a test for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Even in that point in time, I still feel like I should be studying. Now, I do also want to say, when I say studying, I don't hardcore study every day, absolutely not. So when I say studying, I mean, I'm actually either I'm doing hardcore studying as far as like trying to know the material, trying to get the information down, or I'm doing practice questions. Doing practice questions is a form of studying. So that's what I mean when I schedule in studying, at least every day. And I would say for a bare minimum, I study at least 2 hours a day, and the maximum, y'all don't even want to know, the number is up there, but just know that I do study every day. Also, something else that I want to point out is, so right after class, I have found it to be super, super helpful to go ahead and review the material that I learned in class immediately after class. Because a lot of times, again, I'm gonna be real with y'all, when I'm sitting in class, I'm not understanding. A lot of instructors, they go at their own pace, and it's kind of, okay, I'll sit here and explain it for this amount of time, but after that, there's no reason for us to sit on that subject for so long. So when it comes to things like that, I find it beneficial to just go ahead and go immediately after class, watch a lecture on it, just maybe pull some resources from my textbook, just do what I have to do to make sure that I at least review, just, not going hardcore on it, but just reviewing a little bit of the material that I did learn in that class time. Also, this is something else. So again, I'm going to be real with y'all. I actually have a hard time reading textbooks. Well, let me not say it like that. I don't have a hard time reading, but I have a hard, I just don't, med-surg books. You guys, I'm sure, are more than familiar with the way that these nursing textbooks are set up, the way they look, how many pages they are, how overwhelming they can be when you see all the information that comes within the actual textbook. I can't do it. The classes that I definitely didn't read the actual textbook was med-surg and patho. And with those classes, I have found it to be beneficial to go ahead and watch lectures on YouTube, which actually brings me into my next little tip here, how I study, is watching lectures here on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you already know who I'm about to say. Sarah, registered nurse, RN here on YouTube. She has so many lectures, and I'll actually talk about that in a second, but I want to go back to the textbooks in nursing school. So yeah, like I said, I don't, the med surg and patho, the actual class, big textbooks for it, I can't do it. But I will say, like I have mentioned in the video before, like for med-surg, I would use the clinical companion book because I found that book to be a lot more straight to the point, straightforward than the actual med-surg textbook. But I also will say there are classes that I had no choice but to read, or either I had found it beneficial to just go ahead and read the textbook. Those classes being pharmacology and psych, mental health. The reasons behind me actually reading the book with pharmacology was, we all know that pharmacology is literally all about memorization. And so in the beginning, I tried to watch videos on pharm, but then I found that it wasn't really helpful. I really wasn't retaining the information. So I had found it best fit for me to just go ahead, read the textbook, and make my own notes from the actual textbook. But when it came to mental health, again, we know mental health is a different study of nursing compared to your practical med surg or your patho, or not patho, patho, just any nursing class in general. Mental health is different. The test questions are different. So when I initially started the semester, which was last semester when I took mental health, I didn't know how to approach the actual class. I didn't know if I was gonna have to change up my studying method. I really, truly didn't know. So what I started off doing was reading the textbook, and then I just literally continued that throughout the entire semester and made my own notes from that. And I mean, hey, it worked. I got a B in the class. Okay, so now moving forward to actually what I talked about earlier, watching the YouTube lectures online with Sarah and making notes from that. I want to show you guys, and again, I've kind of posted these notes on my Instagram before. I want to show you guys kind of how I make my notes from those actual lecture videos. They kind of look something similar to this. A lot of them end up looking like this type of format, having highlighting. I would start whatever the topic is, I would make that here at the top. And then again, highlighting points that maybe Sarah, pointed out that she said was important, or that I just feel is important in general. And just to kind of show you guys another example of how I take notes when it comes to extracting notes from YouTube videos. So for example, this is actually notes from last semester when I was learning burns. A lot of times, again, I don't know if you guys know, but I am a visual learner. So when I see things, whether it's just making it more bold, making it highlighted, drawing an actual picture, it helps me learn that way. So this, when it came to me doing, burns and learning all about the different types of burns, the different degrees of burns, it was really beneficial for me to just go ahead and draw this, and again, continue that same format that I had showed in the previous set of notes. All right, so here's where things kind of actually get a little bit different. Let me just go ahead and apologize now because the lighting is like shifting, so let me just point that out right now. But so here's where things get a little bit different, guys, actually. So the notes that I just showed you, of course, like I said, that comes from me watching actual lectures on YouTube, making my notes from that. But the classes where I do feel like I do need to read the textbook, for example, the pharm, the mental health, I have to go ahead and make notes from those, the textbook. I have found it beneficial to make notes while I am reading. One, it saves time, and two, I have found that it actually makes me pay more attention to what I am actually reading in the textbook. So just to go ahead and kind of show you guys what those notes specifically look like. So when it comes to me using notes that I have made from an actual textbook, I have found it important to bold, to highlight, to make notes off to the side. Let me show you guys, for example, what I mean by that. So you can see by this, of course, I had typed up my own notes from the textbook. I bolded, highlighted what I felt was important when I was reading. But when it came, time for me to go through the notes again, to review again, that's when I went ahead and did a little damage to the notes. I highlighted what I felt was super important, and then things that I felt like I needed to make a great emphasis on, or wanted to make sure I put those things into my actual knowledge, was things that I went ahead and just wrote off to the side here. And this is literally what I do for every single note that I make from an actual textbook. So that way, when, because, you know, repetition is key. You can't just go through these things one time, two times, and feel like you're going to actually get that information in your memory. That's just not going to happen. So I will go through these things several times before the actual test, and making actual note, just to show you guys on the page, making actual note of, you know, the things that I written off to the side, because obviously, you know, I felt like those things were going to be important. And, you know, I have also found it to be really helpful. This may be something crazy. I may be the only person out here that actually does this, but I have found it really helpful to actually write things out in my own handwriting, because I have found myself sitting in a test, struggling, trying to figure out, you know, what the actual answer is, like trying to piece everything together. And then all of a sudden I will visualize my actual notebook, and I will see how I have written that specific information regarding that topic in my actual notebook, if that makes sense. So I kind of visualize my handwriting, how I placed in the notebook, all the information that I wrote with it. And honestly, there has been several times where I have recalled information, and it has literally helped me pick the correct answer on an exam. All right, next thing, which I tell you guys this all the time, practice questions. Now, I'm going to be completely 100% real and honest with y'all. I know I had told you guys before that you should do practice questions every day. I kind of stand by that still. I feel like practice questions are important to do, you know, as much as possible, as often as possible. But I do know from my own experience, for example, last semester, I was so jam-packed with classes, assignments, this, that, clinicals, clinical papers, care plans, patient analysis. I had so much stuff that I had to take care of that me doing practice questions every day just wasn't logical. I know that may sound crazy, but I just did not have the time to do practice questions every day for me to do them effectively. Let me say that, because you can do practice questions all the time, as often as you want. But if you're not extracting anything from that, if you're not saying, okay, hey, I know this material, or hey, I don't know this material, let me go back and review it, you're not effectively doing the practice questions. So actually setting aside the time, the right time to go through these questions, making sure that you're understanding what these questions are actually asking you, and knowing, hey, do I know this information or not? And I also found it beneficial that me not doing practice questions until maybe 3 to 5 days before the exam has actually made a significant impact on me making sure that I know that information prior to the test. I also do want to point out to you guys, if you are fresh and new in nursing school, please understand and know this. This is really important. Select all that apply questions are alive and well in nursing school. I can say from personal experience, starting from my first semester of nursing school, leading up until now into my very last semester of nursing school, these teachers, they love to put select all that applied questions on exams. Not only that, it will be on your NCLEX. So you need to become familiar with select all that applied questions. For me personally, when I am studying, I like to make sure and do select all that applied questions as much as I want to try to avoid them, because I really, truly do not like them. I know they are super important when it comes time to my exams. For my actual program, if you miss one out of these select all that applied questions, you miss the entire question. So please make sure, I know it really wasn't supposed to be a tips or advice video, but I can say from my own personal experience, me studying this entire time that I've been in the program, that select all applied questions are super important. You practicing them, you becoming comfortable with, finding strategic ways to kind of cancel out answers. Whatever you have to do, just try to become familiar with select all applied questions and making sure that you're, putting that into your actual studying time. Oh, I actually want to add one more thing in that I actually should have said earlier about getting these notes from the textbook, making notes from the textbook. I want to say to you guys, please, let me say this. If you want me to make a video on how I extract notes from a textbook, let me know down below in the comments. I don't want to say there is a wrong way, but think of it, like this. If you are copying word for word for word for word, everything that is in the textbook, you might as well not even make the notes. You're basically copying the textbook. You know what I'm saying? So make sure, if you are going to take notes from a textbook, you want to make sure that you are getting the important parts. You are paraphrasing. You're looking in the tables and making that into an actual way that you can understand it without having to look at the table. You get what I'm saying? So just making sure, again, when you're taking those notes, you're doing it, I don't want to say the wrong way, but you are doing it in an effective way that is not copying and pasting, the book onto a Word document. All right, and then the last thing, guys, that I want to touch on, which I've told you multiple times, I don't do study groups. I don't do them until finals. And honestly, like this last semester, I really didn't even do them that much. I do sit with my friends, but I tell them from jump, hey, I need to know now, are y'all fixing to be talking? Like, how was this study session gonna go? Because I have found it beneficial for me to be a solo studier, maybe possibly until finals, and that's still up in the air, because I want to make sure that, cool, I see, you know, I see you got it, friend. I see you got the information down, but I don't have that information down. And so I know with me, it's all about timing. I don't want to rush information. And I'm not saying that study groups are based around trying to, you know, drill material into your head that your friends know that you don't know. But at the same time, it's really about timing for me and pacing myself and making sure I'm understanding the material and not just rushing through the information. So, guys, that was a lot. I know this video is long, but that is honestly everything that I have done in nursing school to, you know, make it this far. So hopefully, again, you found something that was beneficial that you could use in this upcoming semester. Best of luck to you all. I will be making more videos for sure. Anything that you want to see regarding nursing school, or honestly regarding anything, make sure you leave it down below in the comments. So again, if you do want to see that video on how I extract notes from a textbook, please be sure to leave that down below in the comments, so that way I can kind of get an idea of who all wants to see it or who doesn't want to see it, or you know what I'm saying. So just make sure that you leave that down below. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you found anything helpful, even if it was just the slightest, smallest thing that I said, make sure to let me know down below in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay up, stay with it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.